What is the status of your mark, Glorious?
Hang on a second. Okay, done. Apologies, Handler. What did you ask me again?
Were you relieving yourself just now?
Yes.
Why? Your training is supposed to make you endure days or weeks without having to worry about bodily functions.
I'm aware. This mission is just going on longer than the both of us thought it would.
It'll be a demerit in the report.
Ass.
What was that?
I said I want to scratch my ass.
Another demerit. Your temple won't be pleased.
Would it look good on my mission report if I mentioned that I was able to hit someone's recaf cup from 400 stories up?
What in the God Emperor's bones are you talking about?
Wait, shut up. I can see my target. He's near ground level in a building.
I know. I'm synced up to your scope's digital feed. I can see what you're aiming at, but can you be more specific, please?
Hang on, let me adjust my scope. Oh, that's the ground level of the Hive City. Readjusting.
That's still not correct, Glorious.
I think the lens is glitched. I'll swap it out. Huh?
How are you seeing farther away from where you are perched?
This should fix it. Oops, this is the lens that lets me look into the past.
What the fuck?
Aha! Here it is!
You used the microscope function, you moron!
Yeah, this one was actually a mistake and not me trying to get a rise out of you.
You have a limited window to act!
Don't worry. This heretic will definitely die today. And that's how the Siege of Rax started. The Vindicare Temple wasn't able to live that one down for a while. How would the other temples have handled that job? To get a better understanding of the elite assassins of the Imperium, we need to go over the origin of their organization, the Officio Assassinorum. This secretive group was formally created under the direction of Malcador the Sigillite. He would establish 6 different clades named after the current masters of different assassination techniques. These masters would lead their clades, train recruits, and send operatives out to take down key targets during the Great Crusade. The existence of the Officio Assassinorum was not fully known to the Emperor, as Malcador sought to keep his noble image from being tarnished. Assassins are expected to do the most scale-tipping jobs with the best training possibly available. They are trained from childhood in grueling death competitions with their fellow recruits, and only the strongest, most enduring, and cunning candidates survive. The prospective assassins are then sorted into temples and live out their lives in pursuit of the perfection of their methods of killing. Depending on what temple you're put in, you can have a long, productive career or go out in a blaze of Emperor-endorsed glory. But one thing is certain, your targets will know that they've been especially singled out for some divine wrath. Anyways, let's learn about the various temples of the Officio Assassinorum and each role they play in dispensing the Emperor's judgment. Running like this makes you scientifically faster! Adamus Temple. This temple is believed to be the oldest even before the formal establishment of the Officio Assassinorum. Armed with the techniques of ancient Terra's Pan-Pacific region, these assassins are masters of close melee combat. The Nemesis blades they wield may appear normal at a glance, but they are more than capable of effortlessly cutting through the armor of any target. Their assigned targets are usually the heads of command structures, and this makes the Adamus assassin a master of the decapitation strike method of execution. Fighting an Adamus assassin hand-to-hand would have you eventually overwhelmed, as they are experts of adapting and surpassing any fighting style they come across. Taking an ancient form of combat and bringing it into the 41st millennium shows how the traditional ways of killing can still be useful in the far future.
Surprise! Now give me a good final scream.
Callidus Temple. Assassins that are masters of disguise, down to the anatomical level. Thanks to extensive surgeries and a miraculous drug known as polymorphine, Callidus assassins can take on the appearance of any target they wish. The transformation even extends to Xenos, such as Orcs, Tau, or Eldar. The ability to handle the drug's changes to the body and psyche has been noticed as being more successful with females, so most of these temple agents are women. The Callidus Temple provides its agents with some of the more unusual pieces of equipment that are hoarded by the Imperium. They make use of Necron phase blades that make any shield or armor useless, neural shredders that burn multiple targets' nervous systems, and even biomechanical trackers that can be silently implanted underneath a person's skin. These assassins are mainly used against targets that involve a lot of subterfuge and long-term dismantling. A typical Callidus mission would usually have the agent implant themselves into an organization, learn the hierarchy of it, and then slowly kill and disguise themselves into more important figures. When they finally have access to their main objective, they will assassinate them and then leave a death card on the corpse. Death cards are pieces of psychoplast that record the face and screams of their victim's final moments in order to instill as much fear as possible into the victim's associates. Polymorphine lets these assassins stand out amongst their colleagues in the other temples, but it is also a method of control over these agents. Polymorphine has addictive properties that need to be relieved every so often, or else the agent will not be able to function properly. The Callidus Temple is one of the most secretive in the Assassinorum because their methods cannot be known to the wider Imperium. People would be immediately paranoid over the idea of the Emperor having shape-shifting executioners who could be anyone they've ever known.
Just relax. Let the distilled barking toad do its job.
Venenum Temple. If you want the greatest tox artisans in the galaxy, then this temple houses the best of the best. Venenum assassins excel at poisoning targets with their own personally crafted brews. Their poisons are so advanced that when they are consumed by their targets, no metabolic trace is detectable during autopsies. They are masters of chemistry, botany, pharmacology, zoology, xenozoology, and any other kind of study that can help them further expand their toxic arsenals. Venenum assassins also utilize their in-depth studies into the medical sciences to be the closest thing to a medic in an Assassinorum execution force. Their knowledge of physiology and anatomy makes them able to determine the correct dosage of a poison needed to kill a target, with a delay that they can measure down to the second. Some agents claim they can figure this out solely by looking at a target's figure and measuring their BMI in their heads, even while factoring in augmetics that would be variables for the calculations. This temple's search for the most deadly poisons has caused them to have several incidents involving the Drukhari while trying to analyze some of the Xenos' more obscure brews. Such events rarely ended well. When you visit the Venenum Temple, make sure you remember not to touch anything, and also, hold your breath.
Professionals have standards. We have results.
Vindicare Temple. The unparalleled snipers of the Assassinorum that have made sitting still into an art. These agents are capable of taking out the most heavily protected targets from miles away with their advanced rifles and specialized bullets. The Vindicare's trademark Exodus rifle will never jam, never overheat, is perfectly balanced, and is said to contain subdued machine spirits that are just as focused on the art of killing as their master is. The ammo this rifle uses is made of a dense alloy that can normally penetrate through any armor it may encounter. This might make you think they are assassins that are only good at this one type of killing. However, they are also experts of close-quarters firefights when they utilize their Exodus pistols. A veteran Vindicare can regularly ricochet bullets off surrounding obstacles to make otherwise impossible shots. Shooting a moving target through the gaps in their armor is pedestrian to them, and disabling enemy weapons with their own munitions is perfect when you need a target disarmed. Of course, most of their victims will die by headshots, whether they are at close or long range. Their knowledge of various Imperium guns as well as Xenos firearms makes them feel like no mark is ever out of their reach. But to get back to their main function, a Vindicare assassin will scope out a perfect spot for their assignment and then hide themselves for as long as necessary until they are able to execute their victim. The suit they wear is a special mix of camellia line and sin-skin materials that allows them to blend in seamlessly with their surroundings. The masks they wear upload targeting data directly into their minds, which makes calculating a projectile's trajectory incredibly easy when combined with a marksman's experience. To deal with the hindrances of bodily functions, the Vindicare is well trained in meditation to the point where their metabolic processes slow to a near halt. Things like eating, drinking, and relieving themselves become tertiary next to the Vindicare's intense focus and patience on waiting for their target to arrive for their timely death.
Rip and tear until the voices say you're done.
Eversor Temple. So, let's say there's a particular target you need taken care of, but you really don't like them, and you don't care about any other casualties. You're thinking, Feth that target in particular. Then you will use an Eversor assassin. You will not interact with one face-to-face as you send them out on their assignment because they will most likely want to kill you. And you will hope that you are able to retrieve them with as few casualties as possible when their job is done. An Eversor is raw fury, given advanced Assassinorum technology and augmentations that is used to ensure the utter destruction of a target and its organization it leads. They will be given drugs that will turn them psychotic, be forced to wear a mask that blares constant mission reminders at them, and don a suit that will detonate if they fail their mission. Eversors are only transported while in stasis containers, where a handler can feed them data on their upcoming assignments. If you, in the ill-advised scenario, wish to talk to an Eversor without them tearing your face off, the assassin must be fed a constant stream of antipsychotics and be restrained. Eversors do their jobs thoroughly with weapons and tools that look harmful even for the wielder. Nero gauntlets shred targets while also injecting poisons. Executioner pistols fire both bolter shells and toxic needles. Melta-bombs make any bunker a target is hiding in a non-issue. And the Eversor will be further enhanced by the sentinel array strapped over their shoulder, which allows them to know where any nearby target may be hiding. Despite their blinding violence, these assassins still utilize tactics when they are sent on hunts. They will exploit openings in enemy facilities, use fear tactics, and find the best way to execute targets while still in a blind rage. And if they fail to reach their target and die in the process, then their suit will detonate with enough force to take out a large hive city block. They have been used in execution forces before, as the members involved with causing major distractions, so that their teammates can attack their prime targets more easily. In regards to the Eversors, they are all monsters with nothing to lose. Ruminate on that. If I make this social media post, release this scandalous pic, and get these two to unfriend each other, I believe my target will be executed by the Arbites in less than a week. Vanus Temple. The temple of hackers, sociologists, and analysts. These are heavily augmented agents that are experts at infiltrating and dismantling cogitator systems while digging up dirt on their targets, recovering salacious material to either help them with bribes and/or blackmail. The Vanus are trained to absorb and process mountains of information so that they can mentally form detailed lists and create the most efficient plans necessary. In an execution force, this assassin plays the role of the guy in the chair. They read classified materials that surround the mission, make plans and backup plans, direct their fellow agents, and keep in touch with the main command of the Assassinorum. The Vanus are the assassins that are the closest to the Adeptus Mechanicus. In fact, prime candidates for this temple are usually young recruits descended from Forge worlds. Their familiarity with technology is augmented by their gear and cybernetics. They are given the Awe Spectre, which boosts their capacity to process battlefield data and even remotely override weapon systems. Sympathetic data spikes attached to their wrists allow them universal access to cogitator banks to download data and upload viruses and scrap code. Also, their noospheric interlopers allow them to break into Mechanicus noospheres and can cause even the members of the Great Machine Cult to suffer from harmful data uploads. Their bodies also hide any kind of tool they may need in any circumstance, thanks to the cybernetics. Infosites and saboteurs, the Vanus assassins can make you socially dead in both a metaphorical and literal sense.
If looks could kill, am I right?
Culexus Temple. The anti-psyker specialists of the Officio Assassinorum. Exceedingly rare individuals, Culexus assassins are Omega-level blanks whose powers are sharpened for the sole purpose of killing. To a psyker, the Culexus are the personification of death, as being merely in their presence is enough to leave them paralyzed with fear. Being a blank, a Culexus produces a null field around themselves that smothers the souls of those attuned to the warp. The same effect can be applied to any being with a soul, but for Psykers this effect can be fatal. Madness will overtake their minds, and they will lose themselves to this terror, becoming either comatose or brain dead. This temple commands much fear even among the leadership of the Imperium. Some would like to see it destroyed, while others see its invaluable necessity. Powerful as the pariahs of the Culexus are, their temple is not located on Terra. Instead, the Fortress of the Soulless is located on a dead moon in another star system, and it is heavily monitored by the leadership of the Assassinorum. Leaving the fortress is heavily regulated, and only allowed while the assassin is on active duty. Being as rare as they are, candidates for this temple do not undergo the same highly fatal training that other temple recruits go through. Joining the temple is seen as a chance to be in a community that will accept these exiles of society. The Culexus recruit will be trained in all the ways they can utilize their ability. Killing Psykers with their null fields is helpful, but being able to erase your presence from the minds of others, even while in plain sight, is incredibly useful. The Assassinorum enriches their gift further by giving them their Animus Speculums. These iconic battle helms are what allow a Culexus to dampen or focus their null fields into deadly bolts of negative psychic power. Another feature of the Animus Speculum is the ability to drain the powers of nearby Psykers in order to give more strength to the assassin. The Culexus also wield Psych-Out grenades that are made from the waste of the Golden Throne, which selectively harm Psykers when used. The special Sin Skin suit the assassin wears is modified to allow them to mentally erase their presence more efficiently while also absorbing trace psychic energies. Deadly enough to be used as expeditioners into the Eye of Terror, the Culexus will make any target wish they were never born.
The Imperium needed a weapon. They made a monster instead.
Maerorus Temple. A temple created by the Assassinorum out of desperation for a new type of killer. The Maerorus Temple would birth recruits that were supposedly capable of taking out entire enemies with no weapons except for their own bodies. They would also be used to kill multiple key targets spread throughout a large area through their abilities. This process of creating a recruit involved the contributions of heretics who were open to this type of research and science. Through their efforts, they combined forbidden technologies, mutant gene strains, and even Xenos material to create their first and only Maerorus assassin, Legionstrasse. She was quick to realize her own power. After escaping from the watch of the Assassinorum, she took refuge on an Imperial world, and her death was made immediately necessary. She was a secret that the Assassinorum were desperate to cover up, so they orchestrated a civil war on that planet with the aid of chaos cults. When the Imperial Fists started to get involved in the conflict, they witnessed what the Maerorus was capable of. Legionstrasse could convert her own biomass into any weapon she desired. The claws, bone whips, and blood traps she summoned were enough to overpower space marines. She could track the scent of unique gene sequences to find escaped victims. Taking over the appearance and genetics of a target was a simple task for her. Of course, being able to regenerate from injuries quickly and having multiple copies of essential organs only further added to her durability. It could be implied that the Tyranid materials that created her made her personality into one of stoicism and predation. It was only through the sacrifices of many elite Imperial warriors that she was finally slain. A decapitation wasn't enough to kill her, but destroying her entire body with an explosion, a poisoning, and a thunderhammer seemed to do the trick. A Maerorus's most horrific trait is the ability to reproduce and lay eggs that hatch into more, but lesser, assassins. Legionstrasse was able to do this at least once during her years in hiding. It was never known if the Assassinorum managed to find and destroy all of her offspring. Needless to say, the Maerorus Temple was dismantled, and any information about it was sealed away by the Assassinorum. But its creation will forever be a mark of what is capable of being made when pushed far enough. This was my lore video on the Assassin Temples of the Imperium. I had to include the Maerorus Temple in this list because, wow, that is insane. Really rare moment of the Imperium creating a weapon only to then go, even we're not insane enough to mass produce this. Anyways, what did you guys all think of the temples? Let me know in the comments below, and please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. I'm thinking of doing my next lore list on the denizens of the Dark City. Let's take a trip to one of the most cruel and evil places in the galaxy next time. Until then,